Look what Christianity says. Do not kill, do not steal, do not lie, do not exploit. Care for the poor. Welcome the stranger. Love your neighbour. Forgive. Be humble. Clear instructions, repeated, emphasised. Now open any textbook of history. Wars, genocides, crusades. Colonialism, corruption, slavery, exploitation, competition disguised as virtue. Same people, same societies, same religions. Something doesn't add up. Hi and welcome back. If you are familiar with Christianity, you know that its main message revolves around love, understanding and respect. And yet these are precisely the things Christian societies seem most comfortable ignoring. I'm speaking of Christianity because it was a foundation of Western civilization for ages and shaped our mentality. I know Christianity has lost its grip, at least in Europe, but its influence is still there, and concepts are widely used in all possible respects, especially in aggressive political discourses. Actually, this is not a story about Christianity failing. It is a story about humanity behaving exactly the same way under any moral system. Take any book on history, and you will see a long list of crimes on state level. Wars, manipulations, betrayal, executed by kings, rulers, Christian soldiers. Exactly what Christianity warns against. And on the contrary, you will barely notice any significant event built on love, understanding and harmony. Last 2,000 years. If you find one, let me know. Why main message of love and forgiving just passed by majority of humanity? Why ignore core message of your teaching? And on the other hand, why to invent something that is just barely mentioned and make it a moral obsession? I am speaking specifically of homosexuality. In periods, fight against homosexuality, along with the witch hunt, became main obsession of many God-fearing Christians. But where did it come from? Why the vaguest, most culturally bound passages are amplified into universal laws? How did we go from love your neighbour to let's build entire political movements around policing who sleeps with whom? Where did it come from? Why do we ignore one text and invent something completely different? It turns out we actually do not need any text, any divine revelation, no God, because we do not build our lives around respect, love and harmony. Our entire system is built on domination, competition, power, security, property, identity and control. And when you build such society, no holy scripture helps, because it will never support your priorities. The issue is our preferences, not ignorance. The history of Christianity does not show us that its message was unclear. It was repeated every Sunday during millennia, and yet we did not manage to build our civilization on love. Love, openness, respect was never our priority. We instinctively filter out ideas that would require us to change our own lives, because those are inconvenient. Not lying? That would kill half of politics and most advertising. Not exploiting others? That would be disastrous for the economy. Not killing? Many so-called great countries wouldn't exist today. So those beautiful ideas quietly fade into the background. We do not actually need any guidance at all. We never follow it. We just use it for justification of our behaviour, jiggling with words and meanings to fit our needs. All major religions speak of love, understanding, forgiveness and harmony. Billions of believers worldwide follow these religions, and yet entire history and present times are filled with the opposite, and all injustice is always justified by God's will. Affiliation to any denomination based on divine revelation gives a sense of moral superiority almost without any personal hard work. It becomes very easy then to point at someone else's sin. For Christians, for unclear reason, homosexuality became an obsession, as if this invisible minority would threaten world's order and cause famine and wars. Countless theologians used all their imagination to justify moral battle against gays, based on just few obscure and ambiguous passages from the Bible. Using the same fantasy and energy, you could interpret virtually any available text as divine and point it into required direction. This reveals something brutal. Moral focus is not driven by moral clarity, it is driven by usefulness. And usefulness means who can be controlled, who can be excluded, who can be blamed without cost. That is why gays become central, despite textual ambiguity. It is easy to appoint them responsible for destabilising society and spreading dirty ideas of same-sex love. This proves your deeper claim. Scripture does not shape behaviour. Behaviour reshapes Scripture. Take another example. Buddhism, a system based on teachings of Buddha, a way of living, a path for inner awakening. Nothing esoteric, nothing special, just mundane, sober life. Buddha explicitly avoided worship and authority. You remember his famous saying, "If you meet a Buddha, kill him," meaning you do not need any authority in your life. Change comes from within. He warned about dogma and turning his teachings into something religious. And yet, temples appear, hierarchies form, rituals crystallize. Obedience replaces insight. Tradition replaces awakening. Why again? Why do you need it? Why to create some systems, organisations, add meanings that never been there originally? If even a teaching designed to resist authority turns into authority, the problem is no longer the teaching. Humanity history means that we adopt any type of teaching and information into our needs. I guess people do not need any specific revelation or teaching. What they need is strong tribal instincts, power incentives, fear of difference, and the ancient human desire to feel morally superior. Original message of love didn't fail. It was just replaced its hardest commandments. Love, honesty, humility, with easier ones that demand nothing from us. So my real question is, why are we always seeking external, divine, spiritual guidance when we actually never intended to follow it? What would happen if we actually started to follow the parts of the teachings that are fundamental to everyone? Love, respect, and understanding?